Set 7 big news has just dropped. We've got 3 articles. Enter Archasia's Island, introducing dual ink cards, and Pet Pals Pounce into the realm. Ton of card reveals within this. Big shout out to Card Market who sponsor the video. Let's start with Enter Archasia's Island. We're going to skim through all of these, looking at all the cards, not in too much detail, but then at the end of the video, we're going to give each card that hyper analysis that you expect from me. After a daring adventure across the sparkling azure at sea, you've arrived on the shores of a mysterious island, a paradise teeming with playful cats, loyal dogs, and all sorts of enchanting creatures. As you venture towards the towering citadel, at the island's heart, a figure cloaked in elegant auregalia greets you. Her wings stretch wide in welcome, but her eyes, hidden behind a mask, hint at the secret she holds. Sapphire Emerald, Sapphire Emerald, Sapphire Emerald. Meet Archasia, an ancient Illumineer with wisdom from a forgotten age. She's ready to share her knowledge, but only with those bold enough to seek it. Under her guidance, you'll unlock the ability to harness even more powerful ink casting magic. At the heart of the island, hidden behind the citadel's high walls, lies a legendary forge, a place where some of the most unique talismans in all of Lorcana were crafted. These magical items are incredible to wield, but they come with a warning. If the wrong hands grasp them, Jafar, 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 as the Ursula Glimmer once did with the Hexwell crown, chaos will follow. To protect the forge, Archasia has built intricate traps and trials. Now these challenges will become your training grounds, sharpening your skills and pushing your inkcasting to new heights. All right, let's flip and do this, mate. Bam! That's 4 brand new cards. Bolt, Amber Steel, He's a Tramp, Marie, and Jafar. We are going to take a proper look at these all at the end. Early impression, Bolt looks really spicy. He's a Tramp looks pretty mediocre. Marie, also a bit mediocre. And this Jafar card is an absolute, well and truly huge banger and a big direction of where this story is going to go. Look at that. At last, both halves of the crown belong to me. We know the set after Archasia's Island is Reign of Jafar, and Jafar is pulling it off. This card is nuts. It is so good. Oh my days. Until now, you've only been able to ink cast single ink glimmers. But under Archasia's tutelage, you'll learn the art of dual ink casting, a powerful technique that lets you blend 2 inks together for glimmers beyond your wildest dreams. Prepare yourself, because when inks unite, a unique magic is unleashed. All this learning and new power is crucial as a sinister plot is forged in the background. Is the cunning Vizier at the center of it all? Who's hypnotized the Basil Glimmer? Is it too late to stop the danger that approaches? The Illumineers best figure it out soon. There's not much sand left in the hourglass. This is only the start of the story of Archasia's Island. For if within each booster pack, players and collectors will find a lore card. Wait, what? Each is a page that, when put together with the other lore cards, reveals an exciting adventure. Collect them all to discover more of the story. Oh, that is so spicy. Are you kidding me, Ravensburger? Take a bow. I am well up for that. Look at the card back as well. That is spicy. I'm going to assume the card back is only like on the back card. It's interesting though that this has got a picture. This has got a text. So maybe you've got like the 9 that we're used to forming a picture, but then you've also maybe got 9 different bits of text which really tell a story, and I am well up for that. It's worth noting that usually around this time we would have a trailer for Archasia's Island, but we haven't got that yet. So seemingly with this article and maybe with this, they might be going in a different direction. And I, for one, am all for it. I am well up for this. Very good, the owl flapped excitedly. Soon we'll be seeing a flood of jewel ink glimmers out of you. Martin winced, the events of the flood still heavy on his mind. Ah, yes, I'm sorry. Poor choice of words. The owl paused. Let's just say your talent may soon eclipse mine. She cocked her head. And I've been around for a while. So Martin is one of the Illumineers, which is basically you. And, whoa! I'm well up for that. That's pretty exciting. Something to look forward to on release day. Introducing dual ink cards. We've got Bolt, Ever since we revealed our good friend Bolt, many of you speculated that dual ink cards were coming to Disney Lorcana, and you were right. So what are they? Since the beginning of Disney Lorcana TCG, every card has belonged to one of the 6 magical ink colors: Amethyst, Amber, Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire, and Steel. Probably should have been Diamond. Just saying. Each of these inks has its own distinctive personality from both a gameplay and story perspective. And finally, when you build your own deck, you are limited to having up to 2 different ink colors in it. Dual ink cards belong to 2 inks and have characteristics from both of them. To include them in your deck, you must be playing those 2 colors. Confirmed. Exactly what I've been saying the whole time. I'm talking to you, YouTube comments. You said I was wrong? Huh. I wasn't. This allows for cards with game effects that would otherwise never be on the same card, as well as characters that can show off more than one of their traits, as well as completely new ones. I'm so up for it. And we've got a bunch of new cards to have a little peek at. The Troubadour, early impression. Really good. Oh, wow. That is a great card. It's an Ursula Vanessa, but with resist. Probably better than Ursula Vanessa, right? Oh, that's a good card. Pascal, the Guardian Chameleon in Amber and Amethyst, questing for 3 and evasive. That is no joke. It is uninkable. It's going to be competing in the same slot as Genie, but that is a pretty good card. Once Pascal got into Archazia's flower beds, there was no getting him out. It's a pretty good card. Obviously, for an aggro theme deck is what you're going to be looking at this for, but I don't hate it. I certainly don't hate it. You've also got access to Lantern in Amber and Amethyst, which I think is a very underrated card, and it's always in Amber Amethyst I want to play it. So you've got the potential of playing this Pascal on turn 3. Pretty good. I think it's not bad at all. Can take out Diablo. Calhoun, Amber Ruby. I do love a bit of Amber Ruby, despite what you all might believe, because I do call it Bufasa. 6 cost inkable, 5/5 stat line. Good start. 6 cost inkable is kind of a nice range that you're looking for in Amber Ruby. It's not too expensive and it's inkable. Whenever this character challenges another character, you may return a racer character card from your discard to your hand. Racers. None of the racers are that amazing. One which does certainly come to mind is Taffeta Mutton Fudge. The one that whenever she moves into a location, you gain 2 lore. So you could return Taffeta Mutton Fudge from your discard, put it back into your hand, move it into a location, gain 2 lore. So in like the Sugar Rush Speedway deck, it could fit there. Interesting. We'll have to take a deeper look at the racer cards later on in the video. We've got Perla. This is so much fun. Amber Emerald. We already did see a lady card in Amber Emerald, which was sort of like a shift archetype. This is a 3/2 evasive with support. That is not a bad card at all. Support is a very, very underrated keyword. Like often when the card has support written on it, the rest of the stats are really lackluster, which is why we don't see that many support cards having competitive play, and therefore support as a keyword is quite underrated. It's actually a really strong keyword, which is why the devs have been very careful with the cards that they print with support on. It's not amazing, but it could be kind of good. I don't hate it, I don't love it. Restoring the Heart. The moment her heart was returned, greenery burst to life and restored Tefiti to her rightful form. It's Amber Sapphire. Oh yes, sign me up for this card. I want 4 of them. Remove up to 3 damage from chosen character or location. Draw a card. Oh my god, it's beautiful. Grand Pabby and Baymax synergy. Of course, in Amber Sapphire, you've also got Rapunzel. It's always the way I felt like the deck should kind of be going in that direction. It's never quite worked. Maybe with this support card, it could. A big problem that Amber Sapphire really has is it's really difficult to get any cards damaged significantly. But maybe Pleakley, for example, could be a way of doing that. And a new Hades, oh my days, you get a whole lot of gain. I find myself reading the flavor text before everything else these days. Amethyst Ruby, oh my goodness, this could be a menace. 6 cost uninkable, so the same slot as Medusa and Tremaine. 4/6 stat line quest for 2. For just a little pain, when you play this character, you may deal 2 damage to another chosen character of yours. To banish chosen character with cost 3 or less. That's an interesting one. I'm not super impressed by Hades. Mainly because it's Medusa and Tremaine territory. But it's definitely not bad. Obviously, there's some synergy there with moving damage counters. We know that Bell exists, for example. There's actually quite a lot of synergy, potentially, in Amethyst that move damage counters away from things. Also with Hydra, there's like the big Hydra card, which when you damage it, you can deal damage. So there's definitely some synergies there. The problem is Hydra is also 6 cost uninkable. But with the right synergies, I think this could be tremendously good. Being able to get rid of anything that costs 3 or less does mean it can't deal with Flaversham, but it can deal with Diablo. Pretty interesting card. Not like blown away by it. I do think that's all of them. Kind of going off the page slightly. Oh my god, there's more. Sven we've already seen. Oh my god, there's so many more. This is exciting. Sven we've already seen. I really like this card personally. I've talked about it a lot in depth before. Kuzco, the Panicked Llama. 4 cost, uninkable, 2/2 stat line evasive, quest for 2. At the start of your turn, choose one. Each player draws a card. Each player chooses and discards a card. Damn, Kuzco! Damn. Amethyst Emerald. Discard. I love Amethyst Emerald discard. 2/2 evasive in the current climate is a little bit alarming though. Because of Genie. Right? Like a Genie could remove this and take out 2 Kuzcos, 1 Genie. So I don't know about Kuzco. It's definitely an interesting one. It's a powerful ability, no doubt about that. Mufasa. Oh my days, Mufasa. These arts are mad. Mufasa Among the Stars. 5/7 stat line. Shift 5. Quest for 2. Evasive and resist. So Amethyst Steel Mufasa. None come to mind that even exist that would be good shift targets. Maybe we get a few more this set. Mad Hatter. Oh my god, it's Ruby Emerald. One of my favorites, as you guys know. And it's 6 cost inkable, 3/5. Quest for 2. Unbirthday present. Whenever a damaged character challenges another character, you may draw a card. That's not just whenever one of your damaged characters challenges another character. It's just whenever a damaged character challenges another character. It's kind of interesting. Obviously with Maui, there's some big synergy there. Like you could play Maui on turn 5, play the Mad Hatter on turn 6, challenge again with your Maui, draw some cards. Not really sure how much challenging you tend to want to do as Ruby Emerald, honestly. But the big thing that Ruby Emerald does struggle with is card draw. And this can provide you a decent amount of card draw. Not that impressed by it, but it's definitely interesting. Oh my god, my other favorite color combo. It's Emerald, Sapphire, and it's Yokai. You pay 1 ink less to play characters using their shift ability. In the hands of a lesser person, this much power would be irresponsible. The concern with Yokai is that often in Sapphire, you want to be ramping on turn 2, right? What's interesting, though, is you could go like Yokai on 2, Clarabelle on turn 3, like the 3-cost Clarabelle, and then shift Clarabelle on 4. Not super convinced by Yokai, sadly. Is there more? Oh my goodness, there's so many more. We got Mr. Smee, the efficient captain, Emerald Steel, 3/3, uninkable. Whenever you play an action that isn't a song, you may ready chosen pirate character. All right now, crew. We've got a lot to do today. What was the flavor text on these? Don't you care for tea? And in the hands of a lesser person, this much power would be irresponsible. Pipe up the crew. Whenever you play an action that isn't a song. That's a pretty big stipulation, right? I'm not really too convinced by Mr. Smee being a 3-cost uninkable, but support for a Pirate Emerald Steel deck, I think realistically Emerald Steel is probably going to stick to something more that we're used to than going for this. Denahai, the Impatient Hunter, 3/2 Reckless, Resist 2. There's no time we have to act now. That is pretty strong. Resist 2. It is inkable. It's kind of comparable to a Calhoun with 1 extra resist and is inkable and can't quest and can't gain lore. Which when you look at it like that way, it's kind of bad. Not gonna lie. Maybe there's some synergies there we don't know about. There's Beast, who we've already seen. And there's Lady Cluck. A 2/7 bodyguard in Sapphire Steel with Ward. Honestly, most of these kind of suck. I'm not gonna lie. I was expecting a little bit more from some of these dual ink cards. I think the early ones are pretty spicy, but some of the later ones are Kind of lame. It's interesting. I guess when I saw that we're going to have dual ink colors, I expected all of them to be insane. But it looks like we're getting a lot of them. Yeah. I'm trying to see if there's like any we know that we've got more than 3 of. Yeah, we do. Because Mufasa is... Oh, we don't. Because Jafar and Iago on the starter deck, the Jafar's a dual ink card, but the Iago's just 1. So it might just be 2 dual inks per color still. We don't actually know, it looks like. Interesting. Very, very interesting. The story behind dual ink casting. Having successfully navigated the Azure at sea, our heroes discover the enigmatic Archasia's island, filled with traps and challenges and dominated by a mysterious owl-shaped castle in its center. After overcoming the island's many barriers, they meet the titular Archasia, one of the original Illumineers and owner of the mysterious ink caster. As a reward for making it through her challenges, she teaches them dual ink casting, a long-forgotten method for summoning special glimmers. Speaking of glimmers, a Jafar Glimmer has been watching and learning and hopes to use this new type of ink casting to further his plan. More dual ink cards to discover. That's great news. As you can see above, every pairing of 2 inks is represented with dual ink cards right out of the gate. As Archasia's Island previews continue, we hope you're excited to see more of what Archasia's new type of ink casting has to offer. That's awesome. So there's at least 1 for every single ink color combination, which is really, really great. We'll look back into these in a minute in more detail. We're going to go back through all the card reveals. Meet the new furry faces joining your quest. Archasia's Island is a place of mystery and adventure, but it's also a haven for some of the most beloved Disney pet pups, cats, and even a hamster. Heal for a moment and discover who's joining the pack. We've got the Aristocats. The finest cats in all of Paris have made their way to the realm of Lorcana. It's the Aristocats, ready to sing, dance, and paint their way into your hand. These cuddly friends, except for Edgar, will have you feeling fine on your quest. Thomas Malley, 4-2 with Ward. I'm going to kind of skim through these. We've got Burlois, the mischievous kitten. We're going to look back at these in further detail. We've got Duchess, the elegant feline. We've got Edgar, Balthazar. We've got Toulouse, the artistic kitten. We've got Marie, the 1-2 that quests for 2. Whenever this character quests, you may give another chosen character -2 this turn. And that's it. We got Bolt. While Bolt may believe he's a super dog, in the realm of Lorcana, he'll certainly make you feel like one. Embark with him and his fellow glimmers, and you might just save the day or something. Mittens, the sassy street cat, 5 cost, uninkable in amber, 4/5 stat line with bodyguard, and it quests for 2. No thanks necessary. Once during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, your other characters with bodyguard get +1 lore this turn. Once during your turn, whenever a card... Someone's just put some quite loud music on it, distracted me. Once during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, your other characters with bodyguard get +1 turn. Some bodyguard payoff, so like an all-out bodyguard deck. It's certainly interesting. Not convinced it's going to be competitive. Support Bolt, 2/4 that quests for 2. Honestly, a support which quests for 2 is always nice. Still not that convinced. Super Dog versus Super Log. This is awesome. Dr. Calicio, the green-eyed man, 4 cost inkable with a 3/4 stat line. You're beginning to irk me. While this character has no damage, he gains resist 2. That is huge stats while it lasts. And another Bolt card, which of course the other Bolt we saw was a shift, or the first Bolt we saw. Headstrong Dog, 1/3. Whenever this character quests, if he has no damage, you may draw a card and then choose and discard a card. Kind of like a worse Cinderella, honestly. Not too impressed by most of the cards I'm seeing so far, I have to say. Lady and the Tramp. These editions will have anyone howling. Lady Tramp and the rest of the dog pack are the most loyal glimmers anyone could ask for. Fetch them from your collection, enlist them into your team, and you may have a victorious tale to tell and wag. We've already seen a dual ink lady card, which is amber and emerald. And it's like, whenever you shift this card, you like add 2 cards from your discard back to your hand, something like that. Maybe you don't have to shift it, but it's something along those lines. You can take a look at it in a bit. Spaghetti Dinner is an item, 2 cost uninkable, fine dining. You can spend 1 ink. If you have 2 or more characters in play, gain 1 lore. So it's almost like a spell book. It is almost like a spell book in amber, which is cheaper. but obviously you can't use this. Like, spellbook often is good if you've lost the board and you can just keep tapping your spellbook. But this is cheaper, which is a big deal. Maybe some synergy with something like a Flaversham as well, of course. Like if you wanted to pair it with Amber, with Sapphire rather. We've got Lady, the Elegant Spaniel, which is going to be a shift target for the Amber Emerald Lady, which looked pretty good. A Dog's Life. When you have a character named Tramp in play, this character gets +1 lore, but it's uninkable. I was pretty excited, and then I saw it was uninkable. Tramp costs 2. If you have a character named Lady in play, you pay 1 ink less to play this character. Okay. When you play this character, chosen character of yours gets +1 strength this turn for each other character you have in play. I mean, like an Amber Emerald deck, like that's more aggro-y, like one thing it can struggle for is a little bit of control. And this does sort of achieve that. The problem is it's like a bit bad, I think. I don't know. He's a Tramp. Chosen character gets +1 strength this turn for each character you have in play. Alright. Let's go back through and look at all of the cards and look at them in a bit more detail and give them full reviews, right? I think there was a better image of Bolt somewhere that's a little bit easier to see. No, seems like this is the biggest one we have. Let me see if I can zoom in on the webpage here. There you go. So Bolt is a 5-cost inkable with a 3/5 stat line, shift 3, quest for 2. Whenever you play this character, gain 1 lore. I'm going to give Bolt maybe a 6 out of 10. Maybe a 6.5. Whenever you ready him. I'm not sure that in Amber Steel there's that many ways of readying him, right? So you're going to play Bolt for 5 ink as a 3/5 that does nothing. And then it's going to quest for 2. And then if your opponent doesn't deal with it, it might gain some lore, but they're probably going to deal with it. They might even just deal with it immediately before it even quest. I don't know about Bolt, mate. I might even drop my rating down to like a 5.5 out of 10, maybe a 6. I don't think it's terrible. I'm not convinced it's great, though. I was hoping for a little bit more from Bolt. He's a Tramp. Chosen character gets +1 strength this turn for each character you have in play. I think that's rubbish. I'll give it like a 2 out of 10, which is generous. Marie, the Favoured Kitten. Whenever this character quests, you may give chosen character -2 strength this turn. It doesn't last until the start of your next turn, so I don't really think it's very good either. But it does quest for 2. I would probably rather just play a card with 2 strength and no ability. So I'm going to give her like a 3 out of 10. Jafar, though, wow. Probably the best card we've seen. This card's insane. Obviously, it's a great shift target for the Amethyst Jafar. We know the Amethyst Steel starter deck is also got Jafar in it as a dual ink color card in Amethyst Steel. So it definitely seems like there's going to be some support for Jafar decks over the next couple of sets, obviously with the Reign of Jafar coming up next. But this card's absolutely absurd. It's really, really good, even on its own, but as a shift target, it is mind-blowingly good. When you play this character, chosen character gets Challenger +2. Like, a lot of people like crabs, and I've never been a huge crab fan, but this is my new crab, right? Like, I really don't like playing crabs, for example, in Amethyst Steel, but I recognize that it's a pretty good card. This does what I want, because instead of, like, it also working when you bounce it back, and instead of that extra willpower, it quests for 2. Amethyst Steel, for me, I like building it in quite a speedy manner, and I really like the look of this Jafar. Obviously, as a shift target, it's insanely good. It can't be brawled as well, but even just without the shift, and you just play it in a normal Amethyst Steel instead of a crab, if you're going like a slightly more quick route, I think it's great. I think it's really, really good. I like this card a lot. Definitely my favorite card we've seen so far. Take a look at all of the... Let's actually leave the dual link cards to last, and let's look at all of the other cards first, because I don't think these were quite as spicy. Thomas O'Malley, there's nothing he can't talk his way out of. Prince Philip is better. That has a 3/2 stat line and quests for 2. Same kind of card, but it has 1 extra strength instead of 1 lore. I'd rather have the extra lore. Belois, look what I found. Can we stay here and play? You can stay here in my binder. You're not going into any of my decks, Belois. Sorry. Duchess, the Elegant Feline. Now, darlings, pay close attention to where we are. What can you learn from about the owl from the house? Vanilla stat line card. I'd always rather have a 2/2 that quests for 2 than a 3/2 with 1. This kind of card barely even saw play in the first chapter. Edgar Balthazar, 6/5. all these traps, all these locks, all these machines, if they think that's going to stop me, they've sorely underestimated Edgar Balthazar. It's not bad in draft. Toulouse, he squeezed more paint from the tube and wiggled in delight. Archazia was fun, even if she was a giant owl. She had so many new colours to paint with. It's a 1-3 in Sapphire, which I think is new. I don't think we have any 1-3s in Sapphire. And then there's the Marie, who, I mean, she's not terrible, but she's just not great. This is one of the interesting cards. I actually theorized that Bolt might be some sort of bodyguard support, but instead it's Mittens, the sassy street cat. There are a lot of bodyguards in Amber and Steel, and I think there is a little bit of payoff. Maybe there's like a Little John card that pays them off. But you need a lot of bodyguards for this to be worth it as a 5-cost uninkable. There is Just in Time in Amber, which is always worth mentioning. Actually, that's something you should consider for Bolt as well. Just in Time is an Amber card, which allows you to play this on turn 3. And it could be better there in like some form of aggro deck. Maybe I've underestimated Bolt. We'll have to see. Bolt's got a little bit of potential. I'm just not really convinced it's going to end up being a meta card, right? Realistically, when Amber Steel Songs exist. Mitten Sassy Street Cat. Once during your turn, whenever a card is put into your Inkwell, your other characters with Bodyguard gain +1 all this turn. The problem with this is you have to keep inking. And Amber doesn't tend to have that much card draw. It might have a bit. But you play Mittens, right? On turn 5. And then on turn 6, you can ink. It's not even doing anything instantly unless you play it on turn 6. You could play it on turn 5 and ink. I mean, it's not a bad card. It's more the supporting cards aren't very good. Bolt Dependable Friend, I think, is super mediocre. Just too slow. Dr. Calicio has really impressive stats, but I'm not really sure impressive stats are enough to see players a 4-cost without Rush. And Bolt the Headstrong Dog is a worse version of Cinderella. I'd rather just have that ability when I play the card, but this has it whenever it quests, and only if it has no damage. I don't know, this card kind of sucks, I'm not going to lie. A lot of these cards are kind of bad. Spaghetti Dinner, great art, exciting set. But I'm looking forward to looking at the dual ink color cards again. Spaghetti Dinner, if you have 2 or more characters in play, gain 1 lore. Hey Tony's, of course, the very place for a very special occasion. What was the Bolt flavor text on the last Bolt card? Looks like we're going to do this the hard way. Lady, it's a weird one. A 1-cost uninkable, which doesn't guarantee quest for 2, but only with Tramp in play. I almost feel like this could have been a 1-1 that was inkable. You know? If it was a 1-1 which was inkable, I would be kind of interested. But as an uninkable, which isn't guaranteed to quest for 2, I'd just rather play Lilo or Merfolk, right? For sure. I'd rather play Lilo. I'd definitely rather play Daisy Duck. I'd certainly rather play Merfolk, which is obviously in the same ink color. I suppose it does open up the possibility of having like a more aggro deck if you're pairing like Emerald with Sapphire. Lady could be one of the more aggressive 1-drops you've got access to, because you can't play Lilo, you can't play Maleficent in that. You could only play Merfolk. But I don't know, mate. I'm unconvinced. Tramp the Enterprising Dog. If you have a character named Lady in play, you pay 1 ink less. When you play this character, chosen character yours gets +1 strength. Pretty unconvinced by Tramp as well, to be honest. And He's a Tramp is really bad. But the dual ink color cards, the spiciest of all. So the Troubadour is basically just a better Ursula Vanessa. A card I revealed, by the way. And Ursula Vanessa is very good. It is just better than Vanessa, right? You'd rather have the Resist. For sure. So this is a competitive card. What's, I suppose, interesting is that now you could play Troubadour and Ursula Vanessa. Not the most exciting card because it's something very similar to what we already have. And frankly, I like the Ursula Vanessa like style more. Not necessarily the artwork, but I don't know. I just think it's more like, yeah, Ursula is more thematic of the big story we've had of Lorcana so far. Seeing her disappear from the meta for the Troubadour, I don't know. I'd rather Ursula personally. Pascal, it's still a cool card. Pascal Guardian Chameleon 3/3, evasive, and obviously Ursula Vanessa can be played in any other ink color combination. It's just that we mainly only see her in Amber Steel. Pascal is great. I think this card's very, very strong. It's one of the better ones I've seen, I think. 3/3 questing for 3 is no joke at all. That is some serious stats. I like Amber Amethyst. I think it's one of the most underrated color combinations in the game, even right now in set 6. You can kind of play Amethyst with anything, and Lantern is so slept on. So Lantern with Genie and Pascal and Elsa, you are going to be winning a lot of evasive battles with that kind of deck. Calhoun. This card is really interesting. Whenever this character challenges another character, you may return a racer card from your discard. Big shout out again to Card Market who sponsored the video. Look at me, I'm on the Card Market website. Join us at Gamescom LAN in Cologne. If you guys are Cologne, I'm at Gamescom LAN the 21st of February. Come hang out. Let's look at what the racer cards we have are so far. Fair to assume that we might get some more. And of course, it's only Amber and Ruby that we're interested in. A lot of these will kind of suck. The main ones are these 2 4 costs. The Taffeta Mutton Fudge, which I mentioned, which when it moves to a location gains 2 lore. And the Vanellope Von Schweetz, which is a 3/3 rush with evasive during your turn. So there's not an abundance of good racers, I would say, to be completely honest with you. Whenever you play another princess character, all of this one's just not that good. This was a bit of a random one in the D23 set compared to all the other cards, actually. Or the D100 set, I think. Right. But this card's pretty okay. It's interesting that it seems to suggest there's going to be an Amber or Ruby Calhoun to shift it onto as well. I don't know, though. I feel like there's probably better cards, right? Like, even if one of the races is insanely good, which I feel like at some point they will be because of the Sugar Rush Speedway being the theme of the deck that this is going to slot into. Like, the Taffeta is a good card to be able to put back into your hand, I will say, in the right deck. So, I'm interested in Calhoun. Perla, Amber Emerald, 3/2 with support. This card, I think, is also not bad at all. It's one of the more interesting support cards I've seen. Like, I was evaluating that Bolt card in Amber before with support, and I think, like, turn 4 for a support card is too late. Turn 3 might be alright. Turn 2 might be too early, because it's like, what are you even challenging with? But you play this on turn 3, you quest, you give something else 3 extra strength. That's a lot of strength. It's not bad. And it's just going to sit there because it's evasive. It can sing. Like Mother Knows Best. I think this card's not bad at all. I don't know if it's spectacular. This card is maybe the one I'm most excited for, because I've wanted an Amber Sapphire Grand Pabby deck for a very long time. Grand Pabby is a card I really do believe in, and obviously Baymax now is further support. What we kind of need to see is a way for Amber Sapphire to damage themselves more easily. I think Pleakley might be the best bet, because you go Pluto into Pleakley. Big shout out to Jan Moy from the Podcarna podcast who mentioned that combo to me. Not very good this set, but maybe like Pluto one day in the right deck with Pleakley, and you get up to like Grand Pabby and Baymax and Rapunzel and this and Popsicles. Like there's potential there, but I think the deck needs some cards like Mother Gothel which damage themselves in order for me to be convinced. We've got Hades. When you play this character, you may deal 2 damage to another chosen character of yours. Banish. Again, we talked about him quite a bit. You're going to really need some synergy on Hades for him to be worth it. But he has potential. I think Sven's great. And everyone, when Sven came out, was like, this card's a bit meh. I think this card's so good. Okay, it competes in the same spot as Elsa. But what you've got to recognize is this rushes in. And there's not that much rush available in Amethyst and Sapphire that's good. You've got Elsa and Fox. All the other cards are kind of mediocre. So this becomes your 3rd best rush card. And rush is very, very good. And Amethyst Sapphire doesn't really have that many control tools. So having access to a card which can rush and control the board is great. That's what Elsa does, and so does Sven, right? You can play Elsa on turn 5 or at 5 ink, and then on turn 6 play Sven and a 1-drop. There's so many good 1-drops. So I think the fact that it's at the same slot as Elsa is causing people to kind of undervalue how good this card is. I actually have a hunch this is going to be an insanely strong meta card. I think this card's absurdly good. In an ideal scenario, you rush in with Sven, you take out something small, maybe like a damaged Smee, maybe like a Churnabox Followers, a Magic Broom, whatever it might be, and you actually give the -3 strength to something else, like a Madam Im Snake, and then you let your Madam Im Snake take it out for free. That's an insane swing in an Amethyst Mirror, and really that's what Amethyst Sapphire is looking to do. It's looking to sort of control the early game. While it doesn't have insane top end, it's got some pretty good early game control tools with Fox, with Ramp, with Elsa, and with Sven. I think this card's great. I really, really like it. Cusco. This one's exciting, man. Emperor's New Groove is my favorite Disney film, and I'd never watched it before Disney Lorcana, but it is my favorite Disney film. I love it. At the start of your turn, choose one. Each player draws a card. Each player chooses and discards a card. I like the look of it. I like the look of it quite a lot. Prince John synergy. I do love a bit of Prince John, you know? I really, really do. I think Prince John in Amethyst is underrated. You can play Curse Merfolk. You can play Sudden Chills, Ursula, Deceiver of All, Friends on the Other Side. It's a weird card, but if it was just Emerald, we would be looking at this like, oh baby, it's good. It does get taken out by Elsa. It might just be a little bit too awkward in practice, but it's an interesting one. It's probably not a card you're going to put an abundance of copies in. I don't know about Cusco. It's probably not great. The more I look at it, the less I like it, honestly. I think if it was before Elsa was a card, it might be a little bit more interesting. Mufasa 5/7, Evasive. These kind of like big cards are never usually that good. It's just a big guy with big stats. Probably too expensive. Like there's no ramp in Amethyst Steel. Mad Hatter, I'm very interested in. I've played a lot of Ruby Steel. Ruby Emerald, rather. Like I say, you don't tend to do an abundance of challenging, but that could change. Maybe Moana with like some captains could do some challenging. There's obviously Hey Hey in Emerald that ramps. I think that's a bit of an underrated card, which could help you get to Mad Hatter. It's an interesting one. I don't hate it. Yokai, I am almost interested in. I just wish he cost 1 and had like worse stats. The thing is on turn 2, you just want to ramp as Sapphire. So when do you play this? I do think that there's some interesting shift potential in Emerald Sapphire with Under the Sea. I think you can play Under the Sea with some shift cards quite well. The problem is, again, like turn 2, you don't want to play Yokai. You want to play ramp. So if you're looking for Sail, or you're looking for One Jump, or if you're looking for Tipo on turn 2, when are you playing Yokai? Doesn't really work too well. Maybe if it was a different ink color combination, I'd be more interested. Smee, it's cool that it's support for Pirate and Pirate decks, but you really care about... I mean, Ready Chosen Pirate means you can quest with it again, so with like a John Silver. You could quest with John Silver for like 3 if you've got 2 locations. Play an action, ready him quest again, and maybe you could do some really spicy loops. So maybe I'm underestimating Mr. Smee. The question is really, is how many action cards, which aren't songs, because I think that limits it a lot, draw a card and replace themselves. In Steel Emerald. The ones that come to mind, Strike Good Match draws, guess what? It's a song. What else even draws that's not a song? Let me know if there's anything that comes to mind, because I think if you don't have that, I'm kind of doubtful. This card's almost good as well. Resist 2. It's got big stats. Maybe with the right synergies, like and some kind of like a Shere Khan deck where you're doing lots of challenging. I haven't seen anything like that work yet, but maybe. Beast, I think, is all right. I don't think it's that good either, to be honest. Lady Cluck is really bad. 2/7 Bodyguard with Ward. Maybe it's not that bad. Honestly, maybe Lady Cluck's kind of good. Maybe she's okay. She's like a Chempo, but with Ward, but less attack. I think you'd rather just have Chempo, to be honest. Alright, that's that. Overall, I'm not that impressed by the power level of the first reveals, but it is only the first reveals. The Jafar's great. I'm really, really excited for the dual color cards. I just think a lot of the early ones we've had are rather meh. Some of them are cool. None of them are like blowing my mind. I think maybe Sven might be the best, actually. I think people really underestimated Sven when that card got revealed. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you agree with my opinions on the power level of these cards. I'm not that impressed overall. Feel free in the comments to do like a little list of the ratings that you would give. What I'll also do is I'll also just show you card Lady. It might need to just turn on a filter that's like include future sets or something. You can do a little search for it because I'm not going to be able to find how to do it here. Lady, Disney, Lorcana, because I think that one shouldn't. Yeah, there you go. To shift 3 or 4. When you play this character, you may return up to 2 characters with cost 2 or less from your discard to your hand. That card's really good. And the other one is Belle, Ruby Sapphire. This one, she's like a shift 7 card. I think that card could be good. And then there's also like the Jafar. If you want to see my starter deck, yeah, we talked about the starter deck cards already that are on the front cover. So go and watch those videos. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks again to Card Market. Don't forget, if you guys are near Cologne, come say hello at Gamescom Land. You might be able to play on stream against me. It's possible. Yeah. Thanks, guys. See you soon. Bye.